At The Ohio State University, I am the front line. I provide support and advocacy to students, male and females, who have been sexually assaulted before or during the time at the university. My position gives me the opportunity to work with students throughout the entire time that they are enrolled. This allows me to see the reaction, the coping behaviors, and the management that victims and survivors have to do to move forward from the aftermath of sexual assault. And working with college students, it has become evident to me that there is a disconnect among our youth. There is a lack of knowledge and understanding of what healthy sexual interaction means. There is a driving fear of sexual rejection and a misconception of proper communication with your partner. I am going to tell you a story about two college students. And for the purpose of this story, I will use male and female pronouns. I do not do this because I believe that sexual assault only happens to women and only among heterosexuals, but because until our society understands that sexual assault is in fact a people's issue, male on female sexual assault is primarily what I see out of students who seek supportive services at the university. So here's my story. Johnny and Sally are in class together. Johnny asked Sally to go to a party with him on Saturday. This invite makes Sally really excited. She's excited because she has had a crush on Johnny all semester. So she calmly accepts the invite. They exchange phone numbers, and Johnny tells Sally that he will text her on Saturday with the address to the party. When Saturday comes, Sally meets Johnny at a house party close to her dorm. When she arrives, they play a few drinking games, share some laughs, and shortly after midnight, Johnny invites Sally back to his apartment. She accepts the invitation because she assumes that it is harmless. When she gets back to his house, they begin kissing. Johnny and Sally are actively engaged in kissing. Johnny then starts to unbutton Sally's pants. Sally moves Johnny's hand away from her pants and says, "I do not want to have sex tonight." They both go back to actively kissing. While they are kissing, Johnny then starts to remove Sally's shirt. Sally pulls back and tells Johnny that she needs to take things slow, that she only feels comfortable kissing tonight. Johnny looks at Sally and says, "But I thought you liked me." "I won't tell anyone. It's just sex." Sally looks at Johnny and says, "I do like you. I just don't want to have sex tonight." Johnny takes Sally's hand and tells her that everything will be okay. They go back to kissing. But this time, Johnny removes Sally's pants. Johnny repositions her body the way he wants it to be. Sally thinks to herself, "I thought I said no. I thought I told him I do not want to have sex tonight. I guess none of that matters now." So Sally closed her eyes and recalled a similar situation that happened to her in childhood. This reassured her that he would eventually stop, and he did. Johnny reached climax, and it was over. Sally got dressed and walked back to her dorm. the interpretation of the situation for both Sally and Johnny is completely different. Sally is confused about what just happened. She has no idea how she lost control so quickly. Johnny is satisfied. He just had sex. He's going to bed. So I want to ask all of you, what do you think is the greatest stressor for college students today? Do you think it is paying back student loans? Do you think it's performing well academically? Or getting a job after college? I will tell you, it is none of those. According to research, the greatest stressor for college students is being sexually assaulted. The second greatest stressor for college students is being accused of sexual assault. So let's go back to Sally and Johnny. Their experience at the college has now been compromised. It will never be the same. Sally is now a victim of sexual assault. She can no longer concentrate in her classes, and the guilt and fear and shame that she feels consumes every thought that she holds. She is isolated from friends and family, and the thought of running into Johnny on campus leaves her isolated to her dorm. Sally is now considering dropping out of college because the stress and anxiety that she is experiencing is so overwhelming she cannot bear it. As for Johnny, he sexually assaulted his classmate. He could continue engaging in this behavior without recognizing that what he is actually doing is sexual assault, or he could be dismissed from the university for sexually assaulting Sally, delaying his graduation, and compromising any academic or professional opportunities that were once available to him. The story that I tell you today may be a little different. It may vary from student to student, but I will tell you that the foundation of the story that I told you happens a lot, all the time. In my experience, understanding the way that society perceives sexual assault, we want it to be black and white. We want it to be easy to identify. We want it to be easy to move forward from. We want it to be easy to forget about. Everything about sexual assault is not black and white at all. Did you know that 1 in 4 women will be sexually assaulted while they are in college? This statistic is frightening. So thinking back to Sally and Johnny, where did they receive their sex education? Was it from their parents and guardian? Is it from the high school health class? Or is it assumed knowledge that you gain when you become an adult? I believe that our young adults receive their sex education through pornography and social media. Through porn, Johnny learned that when women say no, they don't actually mean no. He learned that women always want to engage in sex. He also learned that women climax every single time they have sexual intercourse in a matter of minutes. And what's most, yes. And what's most scary is that Johnny believes that his own sexual fulfillment is the only thing that matters. For Sally, she knows that the word no doesn't actually have a meaning. She also thinks that because she likes Johnny, she is supposed to have sex with him. And what's worse is that Sally does not identify the situation with Johnny as sexual assault because she did not fight him off. And Johnny is her friend. So what can we do? We can introduce sex education in middle schools. Maybe if Sally had sex education in middle school, she would be able to communicate and identify that what she experienced as a child was not okay. She could have broke the cycle of incest and ended the sexual abuse that has been polluting her family for decades. We can introduce more sex education in high school. We do not simply just need to focus on methods of contraceptions and STI prevention, but rather we need to understand human anatomy. We need to understand how our bodies respond to sexual stimulation and penetration. We need to have a discussion of masculinity and gender roles within our society. But most important, I really believe that we need to just talk about sex. If we can talk about sex, I'm sure that our students won't feel so intimidated asking their partners for sexual consent. They will have a context to apply the knowledge that they learned in middle school and in high school. They will have the opportunity to have their questions answered, and they will not have to rely on pornography, social media, and the internet as their only sex education resource. I assume that many of you are parents, and I am confident that you would not give Johnny a new car to drive without having him complete driver's education. So I want you to ask yourself, do you talk to your child about healthy sexual interaction? Do you find ways to support your child once they have been sexually assaulted? Or do you support your child once they have been accused of sexual assault? It is my hope that with increased sex education and a greater understanding of healthy sexual interaction, my position at The Ohio State University will become irrelevant. Thank you.